Hello, I'm Chris Slight, the editor of International Construction magazine, and in this video we're going to be looking at the Yellow Table, which is our study of the world's 50 largest construction equipment manufacturers. Now this is based on revenues in 2010, converted to US dollars at the average exchange rate. First of all, we're going to look at the standings of the major players. Secondly, we're going to look at some of the trends in the industry over previous years. And finally, we're going to have a look at how the structure of the industry has changed with these movements for different players. And here we have the top 10 of the Yellow Table. As you can see, the top 3 are unmoved, although it has to be said that Volvo is very close to Hitachi, and it has of course overtaken Liebherr this year. Further down the top 10, there's obviously been a big leap for Doosan, and that's thanks to the rebound in the Asian market, as well as some improvements in the market for compact equipment, which is served by Doosan's subsidiary Bobcat. I think the other thing that's important to mention is this year there are 3 Chinese companies in the top 10 instead of just 1. Last year it was XCMG, which again is unmoved in 10th position. This chart shows the changes in the industry over the last few years. The light blue columns show the revenues, and the dark line shows the year-on-year percentage change. So the first thing to say was that there was very strong growth last year with a 40% rise in revenues, and that was a record. However, it was of course bouncing back from an unnaturally depressed state in 2009, so maybe it's not such an achievement. Having said that, the revenues last year were 152 billion US dollars, and that was the second highest ever, comparing to 168 billion US dollars in 2008. In this slide, there's a breakdown of where those revenues came from, which is to say the ownership of the countries rather than the size of the individual markets. As you can see, the US and Japan are the clear leaders in the industry, and their shares have stayed pretty stable. But a more recent change is that China is now firmly established in 3rd place, having overtaken Sweden in 2009. Another notable change last year was significant growth for South Korean manufacturers, which is to say Doosan and Hyundai, and that was driven by growth in China and the demand for excavators in that country. So as I've already said, Chinese manufacturers are now a force in this industry, and this graph shows just how quickly they've risen. The first time we produced the Yellow Table was in 2003, based on revenues in 2002, and that year the Chinese manufacturers took just a 1.6% share of the industry, which was 841 million US dollars. In this year's table, the Chinese manufacturers enjoy a 15% share, and that's a massive $22.8 billion. So in other words, they have increased their global market share by 2,700% in just 8 years. As this graph shows, the big change came in 2009, when construction activity around the world fell everywhere apart from China, thanks to the government stimulus plan. And as a result, in that year, Chinese manufacturers more than doubled their share of the global equipment market, pretty much overnight. It remains to be seen how things pan out in coming years. The stimulus plan in China is of course coming to the end, but it does seem that the Chinese manufacturers are now clearly established as a force in the industry. This year's edition of the Yellow Table was published in the April 2011 edition of International Construction. It's also available to buy as a standalone report from the information store on our website, www.khl.com, and it will also be a part of the Yellow Book, our global equipment buyer's guide, which will be published later this year. So thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.